Obviously, you're using the technology to make return to sport decisions. Do you want to talk a little more detail about that part of the testing?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, we launched this late 2016. 2017 is really when the AMI started to take off. And initially, we were using this primarily as a mode of measure of how someone is progressing through the rehab process. We are also using it a lot for physicals. I think last year, at the time I was with Select Medical, and at that time, last year, we did over 2,000 physicals. So we were using it a lot in pre-participation physicals. And what we found is that our doctors actually came to us and were requesting us to be able to use this as a part of our return to play. In most of our doctors, what they were doing is they were using Dartfish or a Dartfish assessment to make those return to play decisions. And they felt like that was probably one of the more objective ways of doing it. But yet, when you talk to them, they were also still very concerned about there's a lot of subjectivity to that. What people don't realize, and I used Dartfish for about 10 years, it's a fantastic technology, but if I'm holding my camera and I have it slightly pitched up or down or side to side, what it does is it ends up creating a valgus that does not exist. We actually evaluated this in the lab, and we found that there was a significant amount of error between one evaluator and another evaluator when trying to measure true valgus or trying to measure or put a measurement on the actual video. And you got to remember that's 2D. And so one of the things that the doctors have really liked is the fact that we are actually objectively measuring that, and we're taking the clinician eye out of it, or the clinician's subjectivity out of it. Because the other thing I tell our doctors all the time is, this is quite honestly, this is an accountability measure. As physical therapists, we say we change movement all the time, but this becomes a much more objective way of measuring, are we truly doing what we think we're doing? So when we do return to play assessment, what we do is we actually do the full athletic movement index. So we go from the plank all the way to the ankle lunge test. At the conclusion of that test, we then take them out to the field and we do the A-cell, D-cell test, which is in the running module. With the A-cell, D-cell test, we'll usually do 6 repeats with that. So typically the protocol is, for me, is they sprint down that 30 yards, stop, pause, turn around, sprint right back, stop, pause, turn around, sprint right back. It is an exhausting test. So the AMI is 83 reps, 3 1-minute time tests, and then you get 6 repeats on the ACL, DCL. And what it tells you is you get a lot of really good information from that, and not just data, not data just for the purpose of data, but you actually get actionable data. And that's one of the things I talk about all the time. Is the cool part of that is that I use that data then to go back to the team and say, okay, now we need to work on this, this, and this. I can see if somebody's unloading. For example, we did one of our pro football players, and during the D-cell part, he was really unloading that affected side. It was a hamstring strain. So he was really unloading that affected side. So then what we did is we included a lot of de-acceleration training as a part of his protocol. And the cool thing is that when we took him back, went through that assessment again, you could see that clearly in the numbers of the change that was occurring after using that guided intervention. Again, sorry, long-winded answer.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I think giving some examples about how you use it in practice is really important, because as a physical therapist, what I like about it is that you can actually do an intervention, like just do some correctives or do some teaching, keep the sensors on them because they're not in an obtrusive place, and then retest them right away and see if your coaching worked, because you get objective numbers about it. So, and if it didn't work, then you know, oh, I need to change direction. So it makes your implementation more specific, and it really gives you good actionable data about the efficacy of your intervention.
Well,
so
and, you know, and Shauna, I'll say, you know, that's one of the things that I've found since doing this is, you know, we collect over 1,000 data points for every assessment that we do. And the beauty of collecting mass data like that, I think we're up around 18,000, 19,000 that we've done nationwide, the beauty of collecting that level of data, you know, it would be great if we could publish this all. So for anybody that's interested on the call in being a research partner, I'm throwing that out there to you. That being said, you know, one of the things that we do is that we constantly vet that data to find ways to create better interventions. And, you know, as a part of the courses that I teach, typically what I do is I don't talk about specific exercise, like you have to do this exercise or you have to do this exercise. What we talk about is a methodology. And one of the things that we've seen is that those who go through and understand the methodology behind changing the results, they change big results. You know, we've got 5 or 6 different research projects going on right now, several of them looking at return to play, but also, you know, how are those who go through this versus those that don't go through this, how are they faring out? And I'll tell you, you know, comparing to the numbers look fantastic. And I'm a firm believer, and again, this will be vetted through the research, but I'm a firm believer, man, that if your biomechanics are improving over 83 reps and during the A-cell, D-cell test, that's got to carry over to your sport and has to put you at lower risk.